If you think religion and soccer have nothing to do with each other, you may be wrong, according to political scientist Elvin Calcano, who comments on Brazil's surprising loss in the World Cup and argues that the problem is that Brazil's team has become too evangelical and moved away from Catholicism. I study Latin American philosophy and I'm very interested in religion in Latin America, and you should know that Catholicism in Latin America is typically very syncretic, meaning that it combines elements from European, African, and indigenous origins. This is quite different from Catholicism in the US, which is largely influenced by Europe. This syncretic intermixture is what Calvano thinks is so important to the Brazilian team's past success, and some of the reasons he gives as to why he thinks this is the case. He says Brazilian football has an identity rooted in the exuberance, festivity, and color of a culture born from the syncretism between Catholicism and the religious imaginaries of African origin. When Brazil dominated the World Cups, its players would arrive at stadiums singing samba and playing Afro Brazilian drums. The game on the pitch was nothing more than an extension of the celebration. But that's how it was when the players were Catholic and practitioners of Afro Brazilian syncretism. Today, Brazil's players are mostly evangelical, and evangelicalism expels all forms of syncretism and of diversity. In other words, it kills the party football. Current players of the Brazilian national team arrive at the matches praying. Now, playing the drums and invoking the saints of Afro Brazilian syncretism is the devil's work. It's very frowned upon. They've become sad, martial, and predictable, both in their lives and on the pitch. He also says this. Number two, in Catholicism, when one makes a mistake or things go badly, one must reflect and seek causes to improve. In evangelical eschatology, everything is already written. If they win the World Cup, it's because God willed it so. And if they lose disastrously, as they are now, it's because God's times are perfect. Under such conditions, the player is ultimately never responsible for poor results. They seek to win and improve, but always thinking that whatever happens, everything is in God's hands, who determines in advance what will happen. I found it interesting to think about how religion affects the overall culture of a country, a team, and a player. What we see on the field is not separate from the things that people are doing in the locker room, in practices, and up to the main event. For you as American audience, this probably seems a little unusual because we are not used to syncretic religions in the United States. But in Latin America, these are all over the place. Catholicism, especially, is a major example. Anyway, he says a lot more. I encourage you to go read the rest of it. It's very long, and I don't really know enough about Brazil in particular to have a strong opinion, but I just thought this is a really interesting take and would like to hear from other people.